Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's show is called Interviewing Wall Street's Most Popular Astrologer, Susan Miller. Susan is Wall Street's and Hollywood's most popular astrologer. She has written 14 best-selling astrology books. She's an accredited astrologer and founder of astrologyzone.com, where she writes comprehensive monthly astrological forecasts. She has also become one of the most trusted astrologer forecasters for Wall Street, Hollywood, the Fortune 1000, and believe it or not, Washington, D.C. Before we begin, I want you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's episode on all your social media to help spread the word about the show. Now, let's say hello to astrologer Susan Miller. Hi, Susan. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm thrilled.
Very nice to see you. Susan, of all the astrologers out there, it is very clear to us that you are the most popular astrologer used by Wall Street, Hollywood, and everyday Americans. I can't tell you how many celebrities I know. I know a lot of celebrities. I'm a producer, so I know a lot of celebrities, actors, CEOs, and they love your forecasts. And more importantly, their wives
Wow.
love your forecasts. So,
Wow.
so that's
I have no idea who's reading me. Google gives you the numbers,
mm,
but I don't know exactly who. So that's very nice. Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. So, as you probably know, already know, the more challenging the economy gets on Wall Street or in the entertainment industry, the more people pay attention to their astrological forecasts. Today, I want to ask you a number of questions that are of interest to a lot of people out there, and I'd like to get your astrological opinion on them. Are you ready?
Yes.
So let's get started. The problem in the banking sector and the economies has a lot of people very worried. Are a lot of your clients also asking you about the economy?
Somewhat in terms of jobs.
Mhm.
When the economy is good, they ask about love. When the economy is like this, they ask about, can I change my job? They're afraid to move. They're afraid they'll get into a worse situation. It's very hard to know if you'll get along with your boss, if you're actually there. They want to make the right move. They want the right timing. And that's what astrology does the best, the timing. But so they are asking about that. They're actually asking about buying and selling houses too, because sometimes that can't wait. Let's say you inherited your mom's house and it has some overhead. You want to sell it. But what do you do when interest rates are so high and few people can buy a house right now? So those kinds of questions come.
You know, many years ago, because of you and your website, I became familiar with something called the Mercury retrograde. And I began timing all my business decisions when it was appropriate to do so using the retrograde forecasts. Now, every CEO I know, every celebrity I know, they all do the same thing. They've all caught
Oh,
up
this
to
is
you.
good news. My postman said to me, I saw you on TV and I learned about Mercury retrograde. And it's good for him to know about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
it's
is something that affects everyone.
it does. It's this universal thing that does affect everything and everybody. So, what percentage of your clients would you estimate use your astrological advice to guide them in their business or career making decisions?
Well, I would say, oh gosh, 85%. Some people are not working maybe because they have a little baby at home and childcare is too high. But, my particular readers are between the ages of 25 and 49. That's the bulk of them, according to Google Analytics. Most of them have very good jobs. They're in professional kind of careers. They 44%, according to Google, have master's degrees beyond college. They live in metropolitan cities. So, they're educated and aware and ambitious. Everybody wants to climb up the corporate ladder.
You know, years ago, one of the major business magazines asked a large number of billionaires if they base their major business decisions on astrology. And almost without exception, they all said the same thing. They said, I never base all my decisions on astrology, but I would never be foolish enough to ignore it. I thought that was really interesting.
Well, all of life is based on cycles. The seasons, women's fertility, everything is based on cycles. And so is the stock market. And it's good to pay attention to those patterns because they help us. If you're just aware of what's going on, it helps so much. I had one friend who always said, Susan, it is good to have information. And I'll never forget her saying that. You cannot make a decision without lots of information.
Have any of your clients, your business clients, ever come up to you and said, Susan, that last tip you gave me made me $10 million, and here I'm going to give you $1 million?
No, that it's not quite like that. What they do is very private, and I never find out what happens. They do tell me if it was a good move, and most people do. I'm on Discord now, and I can have a much closer community. It's called Astrology Zone, my server, because there are too many Susan Millers in the world, and then I have a separate section for the NFT holders so that I can really get into their question in great detail. But I'm detailed all the time anyway, with everyone. And now that's the way I'm wired. I'm just, I write 40,000 words a month divided by 12 signs. It takes me 7 hours to write each sign for the month. The monthly is what people love. I also have an app for daily called Astrology Zone Horoscopes. And it has the monthly on the app too. But the monthly is what people really look forward to because I can give them a picture. And I go backwards or forwards in time. Some astrologers don't go backwards or don't even look very much forward. But I feel I have to put your life in context, what you've been through, where you're going, but where you are now too. And, we have eclipses coming up. Those are some of the most dramatic events that we have. One is due on April 19th, and it's twin. They always come in pairs 2 weeks apart. Is May 5th. That's a difficult eclipse. And I don't like to tell my readers that it's going to be difficult, but I have to. What if they choose that day to ask for a raise or sign papers? No, I have to get people to just open the window and see what flies in, because, it's a tough day. And that's the day Prince Charles is becoming king.
Interesting.
His coronation is that day.
Interesting. Susan, just out of curiosity, what is your zodiac sign?
Oh, no, I never tell the readers.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want to put the spotlight on me. I wanted to keep it on them,
All right. Do you believe we'll see the job market improving or getting worse over the next year or two?
No, I think it'll get better. We're going into, let's talk about an important cycle, Jupiter-Pluto. Mm-hmm. They meet every 13 years, and they met in 3 times because of retrogrades. They met 3 times in 2020. And as we were coming close to 2020, I thought, wow, prosperity, big business deals, lots of money flowing. Well, that was the year of the pandemic. And the money I saw was actually stimulus checks in the billions, but I didn't even know that was possible. I'd never lived through a pandemic. But you couldn't have people starving and being thrown out of their houses. So it was necessary. But that was the stimulus checks. Now, imagine 2 hands on a clock at 12. That's a conjunction. Now, when it reaches the 3 on the clock, that's a square. So now you have to make corrections. And by May 17th, Jupiter squares Pluto. So we make a correction to what we did back in December. And we're doing that. We're trying to cool off the economy. And unfortunately, they're hoping that people will lose jobs. And we've heard from the tech industry that They're laying off quite a number of people. I couldn't believe that McDonald's was saying we're canceling our headquarters. Everyone has to work out of their home.
I
There
have
were
never heard McDonald's laying off people like this before. Have you ever
no,
heard them laying this many people off?
never. I've never heard that, and they're reorganizing actually, and this is the time to do it. By next year, June 2nd, Jupiter and Pluto make up, and they're friendly again, super friendly. So I think if we have a recession, and this is only my opinion, it will only last a year and it will be mild, and not all industries will feel it. But Pluto is in Aquarius, that's the tech industry, and Jupiter's in Taurus, that's real estate. It's also the land, the bull, the farmer sowing the seeds. There's very high food prices right now, but some of it is due to the Ukraine. Some of it's due to the chicken virus. I mean, there's so many dynamic things that can affect the price of food. Now, but we'll straighten things out. When there's a square, there are things that you can't ignore. You have to fix them. And then it moves into prosperity. I think if there's a recession, it'll only last a year. So let's hope I'm right.
What do you see
it will be mild. It will be mild.
What do you see happening with real estate for the next year or two? Is it still going down or is it going up?
Well, here in Manhattan, where I am, it never goes down. And there's so much construction going on. I guess you have to really pick the part of the country that is doing well, because every state is going to be different. And you have to agree with the politics of that state. Otherwise, you may not like your neighbors. You have to go somewhere where you fit in, I think. Otherwise, you might want to sell your house really quickly. So, like Barbara Corcoran says, I think this is such good advice. Go to a local coffee shop. Go in the morning when everybody's having bacon and eggs and sit at the counter and talk to people. Say you're thinking of moving in. Find out if there's been any natural disasters like fires or floods or mudslides. Find out how people get along. Find out about what frustrates them or what they love about living there. I think that's so good. She said most people just go in the middle of the afternoon, see the house and leave. Go in the morning, go at night, see how dark it is. Do you feel safe? I think that's such good advice. I love her. I listen to everything she says.
There's this billionaire real estate investor by the name of Grant Cardone, and before he buys a major apartment complex with hundreds of units, he drives through to see if there's a Starbucks nearby or some other high-end store, because Starbucks does a lot of demographic research before they enter a market.
Really? Now, we have one right near here, but 2 of them just closed in my neighborhood. Yeah. There's so many empty stores in New York City right now. The pandemic did a number, but you know what? It's almost like a shakeout, and then the grass is starting to grow again. Little shops are starting to come back, but there's still a lot of space. But I was really excited to see Barnes & Noble opening up across the street from Whole Foods, 3 blocks from my house.
Yeah.
And I miss going to a bookstore and just perusing the books. And
Barnes & Nobles used to have locations everywhere. Now it's a little more rare. But Whole Foods is another one of the stores that Grant Cardone looks for whenever he's buying a property. Do you ever have any politicians asking you for astrological advice about their campaigns?
No, but I wish they would.
Yeah.
I once met a lady who was a person they hire for advice, for strategy in the party. And she was sitting next to me at the hair salon. It was a very upscale salon. And I told her some things. She said, this is really interesting. But I send her my calendar every year unasked. I write this myself. I publish it myself. And it has all information written in the grid that's important to know. And I also publish the same information on my app. If people just search Susan Miller, both my apps come up on Google and also on Google Play. I have 2 different ones. But it's good to know what's coming up. But I wish the politicians would listen to me. When you announce that you're going to be a candidate, you shouldn't do it with the moon void of course, which my app on Moonlight helps you with, or when Mercury is retrograde. I could help it. It's best to do it on a new moon or maybe a full moon, but not after the full moon. You want a lot of attention, and that's what you get on the full moon.
Do you have any celebrity clients that call you every time they're having romantic problems?
Not romantic problems. They ask all kinds of questions, but I try to keep their names private.
Sure. What part of the
but
world?
they ask
Go ahead.
questions. Like one was relocating his entire family to Paris and wanted to know how that looked. Well, he's under such stellar aspects right now. I told him he can do no wrong. They adore everything he's turning out, so not to worry. And I think it's a good move.
What part of the world is astrology most popular in now? Is it US, Europe, Asia, or someplace else?
Turkey and Brazil
Oh, I never would have
and
guessed.
China.
Wow.
China, every man, woman, and child knows my name when I go to Beijing. I could
Wow.
be in an elevator or in a restaurant or walking down the street. People come up to me and are so nice. I have an agent in China, but I'm going to be taking a very big role in Brazil and Turkey. I tried so hard. I had my app in Turkish, but all the people were taking the free app. I have a free version and a paid. The paid is $1 a week, a little over $1 a week. It's $4.99 a month. I pay Google and Apple 30%, which they deserve. Look at all the bookkeeping they have to do. So, I just have to make money at some point because I have to pay editors. You can't see a typo on that little screen. You want it beautiful. So I stopped doing it in Turkish, but many people there speak English. But I have a sponsor who wants to turn everything I've ever written into Portuguese for Brazil because it's such a hot market.
So I am an Aquarius. Tell me what you see
Oh,
happening for Aquarians over the next year or two.
oh, you were in the vanguard. You've just gotten rid of Saturn. You had 3 years. It just ended March 7th. For 3 years, you were being tested and you had to put a stake in the ground. This is what I want to do. And it had to be something difficult, something new. And when I had what you had, I started Astrology Zone 27 years ago on Time Inc.'s website. And it was brand new. The internet was so new in 1995. So you're doing something new. Now Pluto has come in and is going to make you powerful and a household name. Pluto is giving us a little preview right now until June 11th. Then he retreats back into Capricorn and ties up some loose ends. Then we'll go back into Aquarius on January 20th. And the sun will accompany him and introduce him. And Pluto will stay 20 years in your sign. This is extraordinary. Zelensky from the Ukraine, he is in the beginning. He's born the last week of January, around the 25th, 26th, 27th. I can't remember exactly. But Pluto will be on his sun. So he will gain even more status than he has now, which is hard to believe. He has a great deal. And he has such conviction. And I love that about Aquarius. Aquarius cares about the greater good. Now, your money is going to be much better. Saturn was in your second house of earned income. And when Saturn's there, he puts a cap on it. You say, why? Well, he wanted you to see the value of money. Say, by now I know the value of money, but he gave you a refresher course. That's gone now. Oh, well, it's still moving through there. I shouldn't say it's gone now. It's still there, but you will learn to buy below wholesale. You'll look at all those apps in your phone and see which ones you don't want to pay a monthly fee for. You'll, same thing with your TV streaming subscriptions. You're going to pare down and laugh all the way to the bank because you'll also be saving quite a bit and enjoy looking at your bank statements.
I'll tell you something funny. You mentioned that you had, during a similar time period, you had started was it your website?
My website,
Well,
1995.
back in the 90s, I was a producer for Oprah, and there were 50 of us on the production floor, producers, all sorts of people working to produce a single episode. Now we fast forward to 2023. Everything it took them, all the resources it took them to crank out one episode back then, now one person can do with a desktop computer.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
It's fascinating. Well, that's almost like how they say every 18 months we make another leap in technology. And that's proof of it. Oprah's Aquarius as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably got along pretty well with her.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, now people are producing theatrical movies with their iPhones. And one of them even won an Oscar, shot on an iPhone. So that's the world we live in now. Shot and edited on an iPhone.
Well, you don't know this, but my former life, before I started my website, I was an agent for commercial photographers. And I was on set all the time with these beautiful ads that would be produced, and we would never say, we'll fix it in the system. We fixed it in camera. The great photographers would fix it in camera and not let them do it, with retouching. And then stock photography came. And instead of a big client like Coca-Cola spending $300,000 on a campaign, they would buy an image for $300. But it wasn't always good because the photographers needed the money so they could experiment. Besides pay their overhead and everything else, they needed some play money to create new looks, new visions. And stock photography kind of put the kibosh on that. I have not been in that industry for a long time, so I don't know what's going on there now. But, the grass always starts to grow again. So hopefully there's, a balancing, a correction,
Well, before we wrap this up, is there anything you would like to promote or promote again?
Well, you have a fascinating show. I hope everyone will look into getting my app, Astrology Zone Horoscope, on Apple and Google. Also, Moonlight Phases, which tells you when the moon is void of chorus. And that means when she's not talking to other planets. I make it very simple. It's already won an award in Los Angeles. It's only $8, and you don't have to buy it again because it goes to the year 2050, and it has GPS built in, just like my other one does, so that you always get correct information. And then, of course, I think my calendar is the best thing in the whole world. I'm going to be in California, and I'm going to be at Liberate Yourself. That's the name of this lovely boutique. And that's on April 23rd. And the tickets are $55, and they set the price. And everybody will get a calendar. I'm going to give everyone a signed calendar. And I wrote a Kindle book called The Next 200 Years. I used to think writing about the year ahead was hard. Try the next 200 years. But I did attack it, and people are loving it. It's on Kindle, called The Next 200 Years by Susan Miller. And we're going into a new world. We're leaving a consumer-based world where what you bought matters. Like I have a prettier designer bag than you do. That's not going to matter anymore. We're going into an Aquarian world where it's what you contribute, what you know, where you've been, how much you've traveled. It's really about working in teams too, not all by yourself, and doing it for the greater good. And of course, digital is going to touch every part of our lives. And AI terrifies me. We'll have to get hold of it because AI is new, and we have to put guardrails on. But we will.
Yeah. Well, Susan, I want to thank you for coming on the John Ark Show. It was a lot of fun. You're as charming as ever. I want to wish you all the best to your family and to you. And you are always welcome back on the John Ark Show, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed our guest, Susan Miller, please make sure to visit her website, astrologyzone.com, and support her efforts. I also want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's episode of our show on all your social media to help spread the word. Thank you, and we shall see you soon. Bye-bye.